It's about being phones.
Good evening, we have Monday, July 9th, 2025, this is again, our student services office. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Vice President Legareta. Vice President Legareta,
Present.
Member Garay,
Here.
Member Marcus.
Present.
And myself, President, remember, Secretary Montes is absent. You have a forum. Could we please stand for the pledge of allegiance. It's as good as that. And forget it this time, Alba. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I salute
The flag of the state of Mexico, the Istanbul, Recognition among the United Nations.
Item number 1 is approval of the consent agenda. Before we move here, is there any discussion about the consent agenda? Okay, so the consent agenda includes items approval of the consent agenda, approval of minutes from the regular board meeting on 6/11/25 and special virtual meeting on 6/18/25. Approval of June 2025 bills, approval of the budget adjustment request transfers cash requests. Increase bars 24,106, 24,109, and 27,539. Do I have a motion to approve the a motion to
The last one is 27536.
27536? I apologize.
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 2, superintendent report.
Yes, we've got 3 items that like to have reported to the board. And the first one is, as you guys know, we offer a summer camp and STEM camp every June for 3 weeks. And this year we had our coordinator, Mr. Gabe Lucero, who is here to talk to just give us a summary about what that included, how many kids, and just the structure of the program itself. So, Mr. Lucero.
Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Gabriel Lucero. I'm a special education teacher at the high school, and I was a coordinator for the STEM program. The program involved 2 parts. The morning is the sports, then in the afternoon is the STEM program, which the material was provided to us by NMSU. It was everything was by grade level. Kinder had its own program. First and second had one, second and third, and fourth and fifth in middle school. We had a total of 101 kids signed up,
Wow.
but the most kids we had in a day was 77. But we averaged between, I would say, about 65. We had a pretty big amount of kids come this summer, and they all seemed to enjoy it. They were coming. They had fun. The morning, the sports, of course, they like playing basketball, soccer, kickball, and in the afternoon, the STEM. It was interesting. Everything was hands-on. They had activities. Various activities from, for example, the little ones, which involves playing. They had like a circus fun. They had about the stars. They built airplanes. They built everything was hands-on, and everybody really loved the program, I would say. And NMSU provided the whole stuff we needed for STEM, and we went through all the teachers we had went through the all material.
How many teachers participated, Ms. Lucero?
There was 6 teachers and 2 EAs. 4 teachers were all day, morning and afternoon. And in afternoon, we had 2. So we had about 6 and 2 EAs, so 8 total.
Good numbers.
Just want to let the board know, this is a collaboration that we do in conjunction with 21st Century. So we pay for the first part of it, the sports camp, out of our operational funds. And the second part of it, the STEM piece comes out of 21st Century. All right.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, next on the list is we also participate in a summer literacy program, and this is the second year that we've done this. And to just give a little bit of a history, last year, you know, PED always puts these opportunities out there, especially for summer, and last year was no different. And what I did get though is I got a call from Jennifer Russell who said, you know, I think I'm interested in this. I think I'd like to do this. And so last year she took the ball and ran with it. And so she coordinated everything, the teachers, you know, made sure that the training and the materials were in place, you know, made sure that the kids were notified and contacted. And so that was last year. This year was just a repeat of last year. And Jennifer's done an incredible job of getting our kids, you know, ready. It's like a jump start, you know, for the school year. So Jennifer, and the program's going on as we speak today. So,
Okay, is this on?
yes.
Okay, just making sure. Good evening. Thank you guys for having me here. Thank you, Mr. Chavez, for letting me come and talk. I'm excited to talk to you guys about our summer literacy program. This is the second year. Hopefully we have a third. Of course, it is based on a federal grant that comes from the federal, I don't know which grant, but it comes to the state of New Mexico. So hopefully that'll continue. So we've had 2 years running. The program runs for 4 weeks during the summer. We tag team right after the sports STEM camp so that kids can be in both. We don't want to pull kids from one program to another. We want them to have the opportunity to do both. It's 5 hours a day, 4 days a week. We have 55 total students enrolled. Our average attendance has been running right around 50. So we have very few kids absent, which is awesome for a reading program in the summer. Just want to say, we have about 50 kids attend every day. We did have one of those that's probably going to be gone the rest of the time, left for vacation. Totally understandable before school comes back in. So about 4 to 5 kids on average are absent a day. Not too bad. We do provide transportation to and from the program, breakfast, lunch, and a snack for the kids. So I want to thank everybody in the district. Our central office did a lot of coordinating. The transportation department, the cafeteria staff, they've been fantastic. And even bringing the food to us and all of that. So I appreciate everybody for their part in making this happen for the kids. The curriculum that we use is called Night House, and it's exciting because it is based on the science of reading, and I know that's the new thing going out there, but it really does go back to good reading teaching and all the components that go with that. So it's based on the science of reading. It uses the structured literacy approach. We use multisensory learning, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, trying to pull what we can from every kid in every learning style. Foundational skills are retaught at every level. So even if a kid is working at a higher level, they're still taught a lot of those foundational skills that they probably missed. Because there's a reason, you know, that we need intervention programs, we need summer programs, is to fill in some of those gaps. And that's what this program is serving to do, to fill in those gaps. So kids are assessed on day 1 when they come in. After they're assessed, I actually take the data, I look at it that day, and then split them up accordingly, according to their stage, but also within a reasonable grade band. So sometimes you'll have a 3rd grader and a 2nd grader, or even a 1st grader, you know, depending on where they're at. But it's dependent on the kids' needs, because we don't want to waste their time. We have them for 4 weeks. We want to hit it hard and really try to fill in what they need. So the teacher starts at whatever stage his or her group of kids is at. So the training comes in because they've trained for certain stages, and so they have to be a little bit flexible when sometimes maybe, you know, it was a little lower stage or whatever. And so there's a lot of other stuff that goes into that, which I'll talk about in a second. All materials are provided by the state, which is really cool. It's a part of the grant. So this program is very expensive, and they give every single teacher their kit plus all the stuff for the kids. We've got the student workbooks, the reading books, all of that. This year, the state also purchased a program called Amira, and it's new, it's AI, and I'm behind the times because I'm like, oh, that scares me. I'll be honest, but the kids are loving it. So they read and it's 10 minutes a day. The state said, we do not want you spending 30 minutes a day on this, 10 minutes a day, and we're gonna see what it does. And the kid, so first they do the pre-assessment, it puts them where they need to be within the program. And then they read to the computer, and if they mess up on a word, whatever it may be, whatever skill it is they're missing, Amira, the tutor, says, I see that you missed this word. Let's look at the digraph SH. And it goes through a lesson on what they missed, which is
Wow.
really amazing. But like I said, I'm a little bit behind that. My
Can you spell
kids
that?
tell me I've got to catch up.
Can you spell?
Amira, it's Maira, Amira. Yeah, and it's through ice stations.
Oh.
So they're connected. It's through the same company. It's just another branch of it. But it's really neat. I just, like I said,
Neat.
I'm getting
That's
used to
it.
this.
That's
So
it.
that's the cool part. I was telling them, I don't know if we can get enough headsets, but it wasn't even an issue. They said because we're such a small group, which I'll get to in a minute, because we're such small groups, the kid just sits against a wall with the computer facing them so that their sound and it's not picking up anybody else's sound. And it's working fantastic. So it's really cool. And the kids love it. I mean, it's very interactive with them. And I mean, let's face it, in a regular classroom, it's sometimes hard to hear kids read every day. And this gives them like that immediate feedback. The state did purchase the license for the rest of the summer. So they actually held like a Zoom class for parents, said, come and join and we'll show you how to use this at home. And we had a bunch of parents come into the school. How do I sign up for this Zoom? So I got them signed up, and hopefully the kids will use it and, for the rest of the summer while they have that option. So
That is awesome.
it's pretty cool. Anyway,
It's embedded in Amira's embedded in ice.
it is, so it's the same company. It's the ice stations company. I don't know that it's like, I think you have to purchase, how you can purchase just the assessments from ice stations, or you can do the assessments with the lessons. And I think it's another branch of that, but I can look further into it if you're curious.
They assess his ice station.
So yes, that's what I'm getting to. They did use ice stations for the pre, and they're going to use it for the post. Now, it is not the regular school ice stations. They purchased a whole separate account for the summer program because it's a grant. They do have to provide data back to, the federal grant people to say, hey, here's what we saw. And so last year we used Dibbles. The state chose to use Dibbles, and it was kind of a mess. It was all over the place because you had two totally different, I can tell you, I taught a class last year, and it was outgoing third grade read a passage about Bobby's dog. I can't remember. It was something about his dog. He loved his dog. And then you were supposed to read the passage for the incoming next grade, whatever they go into. So the incoming fourth grade, and it was about sponges, the difference between artificial and natural sponges. And it talked about the language in it was so like specific to science and how this was made that, one of my students was like, he was able to read the words, but he was like, I don't know what this is saying. Anyway, so they didn't get great feedback from using the Dibbles just because it was too all over the place with, you can't compare the two. And so that's why they chose to go with ice stations this time. Plus it takes out that human element where maybe some teachers are more familiar with Dibbles and were able to implement better than others. And so they took that out. So we'll see what comes at the end when we get our data back from that. The data, the state has asked New Mexico Highlands University. They have some professors and some students who are going to actually take all of the data from the whole state, and they're going to go ahead and pull it apart and let us know where we landed. So hopefully, and I also will keep my own data. So because I don't want to wait until they give me a report back. So anyway. So that was Amira was the supplemental program that they are working on, the 10 minutes a day. Here's one of my favorite parts. This is something we do not get in education that would just make a huge difference. And it could never happen. I mean, financially it can't. It's a 4-to-1 teacher student ratio. Like you don't get that ever in public education. So let's say that I've got some, especially the younger grades that have 8 kids to a teacher, they have an EA in there. So while they can teach these 4, Those other 4 are working on a center that is practicing the skills that they've learned. Some things they do together, but for the most part, most instruction is 4-to-1. That allows kids to have more input, be able to read more, be able to practice every single skill in front of the teacher and get that immediate feedback. And that has been probably one of my favorite parts because kids need feedback every single day. Teachers need to hear kids read every single day. Even at middle school, I listen to my kids read every single day as a reading interventionist. There is not a day that goes by that a kid leaves my class without having read out loud, whatever it is I'm teaching, because if we don't know if they're getting it. And that's really hard in a class of 25 kindergartners, or, you know what I mean? So the 4-to-1, I think, has been my favorite part.
And Ms. Russell, was that open to all students, or how were the students chosen? Those.
So it is open to all students.
Okay.
However, there is a cap because
Okay.
if I only get so this year I have 14 teachers, but that includes my PE guy because they do have PE, which I'll talk about in a minute. And the 3 EAs. We did get one one-on-one EA for a student who needed it this year, which was awesome. We previously weren't able to do that, but we did get 3 EAs for those younger classes because they were so big. But once you reach that cap, you have to cut off registration just because
Was it a lottery
It's too
system
many.
after you took all the applications and then?
No,
that extra?
the state runs that's the only, I wish they would let us have a little more control on the registration, but they run the website. They
Oh.
actually, I think it's 2 people at the state who
Oh, the parents have to.
yeah,
register
they
online?
register online, they get
Okay.
all of their applications and then put it in, and
Oh.
whatever number that I have up there, I have this many teachers, then they say, once you hit this number,
First
you
served,
cap it.
yeah, they're-
First come, first serve.
Okay.
So everybody is allowed to, go on there as long as you're, and I always tell parents, hurry because
Yeah.
it'll fill up. And so we did have to cut it off. I didn't cut it off until I think we reached like 70, because I know that there's always some that end up leaving for the summer and don't show up. And so I didn't cut it off until then. I told them, okay, we've reached our cap, but that allows for those kids who don't show up to begin with. And then I also make phone calls to the parents just to make sure that they're still coming. And I do have some parents who come to me, can you please get them on there? I do create like a waiting list just in case that happens, but it hasn't happened yet. Last year, we didn't get to the waiting list. This year, we didn't. We just have too many to keep that 4-to-1 ratio. So here's my other favorite thing. I have 2 favorite things. Teachers got 35 and a half hours of PD from Nighthouse, which if you think about the amount of PD that we get over the course of the year, 35 and a half hours is fantastic. So you're talking, some of them are EAs, some of them are certified teachers. It's open to, there's criteria, but they do not have to be a certified teacher to teach because they do put you through a very rigorous training with the program. The program is very scripted. This is how we want you to teach it. Everything's there for you. And so having that 35 and a half hours in the science of reading and strategies for struggling readers, I don't know if I mentioned, but Nighthouse, they are a nonprofit in Texas, and their specialty is students with dyslexia. So they actually have students who come into their place, they work with them, and that's what they do. But their program is excellent for any student who's struggling. It's not just for even the teachers are like, I didn't know that. Like, you read things, but you don't know why, and you go on, and as adults, we just never think about it. Well, kids have to figure that out. Why is that read that way? Why do those letters, work that way? Looking for the patterns in the language. And a lot of teachers are like, this was mind blowing. The training is so good. I've taken it twice. Plus I've done, many other trainings, very in depth. And even I learned something new every time that I'm like, oh, I missed that the first time. So it's fantastic. I love that they are providing that training before the teachers go in. Let me see where I was at. So I'm kind of toward the end. My goal, my number one goal, because it is summer, is that kids have fun and want to come back. Because if they don't come back, it's summer and it is optional. If they don't come back, we can't teach them anything. So we really focus on making sure the learning is fun. Let's play some games. Let's, use what you've learned and do some games for practice. We do take, we have PE, short PEs. I don't believe we need 30-minute PEs, but short PEs, 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon, plus you've got recess. And we take those really short breaks so kids are up and moving. And when they come and sit back down, they go through the whole next part of the lesson without issue. They're not sitting in a chair for 5 hours straight. We can't do that. And it's summer. So anyway, that's the big thing, is making sure we can make the learning fun so that they want to come back. And I have to say, I did have one student, he got sick. And so I had to call mom to come and get him, because we don't have a nurse on staff. So anytime they get sick, I call the parents, and he was begging me, please don't call her. It's so much fun and I want to stay. And I'm like, but you're sick. You have to go home. So anyway, that's exciting though. As you know, anybody who's running a summer program, that's what you want. You want kids to beg to stay. And we do fun stuff like they did. I work with Lisa Neal. We do a field trip per group of kids. Once to the library, she does an activity. It's like an hour-long activity. It's a literacy activity. And while they're gone, the other kids do a literacy scavenger hunt that I have set up. And we did that today and they had a blast. And they have to solve riddles and they have to infer and all these great skills, but they're having a blast doing it. So that's been fun. We also do, to make sure that kids are incentivized to come, we do have assemblies every single week where we reward behavior, effort, progress, and attendance. I probably give away about 60 prizes per week just to and we do it in a fun way. Our assemblies are not traditional school assemblies. They're very loud. But the kids have a blast. We do a ton of cheering, we dance, we have a lot of fun. We play games. It looks a little bit more like a pep assembly with all the games and all these fun things. So they have a lot of fun. Overall feedback so far, both years, the kids have loved it. Like I said, I have kids not wanting to go home. I have kids who have had perfect attendance so far through the entire program, like a bunch of them. And like I said, I'm giving away tons of prizes every week because of their attendance. So that's inspiring. And from the teachers were really excited because they felt prepared. They had been given the training ahead of time. They came in, everything was set up for them. I made sure schedules were done and stuff. So they felt prepared for what they were doing. And they said, we're having fun. This is a lot of fun. And I don't know if that's what they expected out of reading, but they're having a blast. And they also told me that the ongoing support. So NIHouse does provide ongoing support. So like that first week, it had been several weeks since we had been trained. So that first week, NIHouse was online. You get on a Zoom. They were helping them, if they had forgotten something, like, where is this piece in my book? And now they're blowing and going and they're loving it. And they say that they're seeing really good things in the classroom. So.
Now,
So,
how
yeah.
is this promoted for the kids?
You mean to get them to come?
Yes.
Letters are sent home. All calls are sent out through the schools. It is also promoted from the state. I don't know if you saw any of the billboards. They had billboards up going to Cruces. I saw one. I was like, oh, that's my program. Yeah, it's summer literacy program. It shows state of New Mexico and it gives you the website because the website registration is the same. Like I said, they have 2 people going through every registered kid for the entire state, and then they sort them into our districts. It's crazy. I don't know how they keep up on
Now,
it.
do you have somebody targeting those kids that really, really need it?
Yes.
So that we can get them the help that they need?
So at middle school, I did the calling. What I did was I reached out to all the teachers and I said, give me the ELA teachers. And I did tell the other teachers, but primarily I was like, ELA teachers, if you know, I need their names. I actually called those parents.
Okay.
Additionally, I sent personal emails to the kids who attended last year to make sure they knew it was open again this year. At Rio Grande, I know that the principal had called. Oh, I think he told me he called 60 parents, and I know he registered a bunch of kids through there. And then I know that at Hatch Elementary and at Garfield, I think they just sent flyers and stuff. But a lot of our kids were personally called by several of us. The first year, last year, I actually got rosters from all the schools and I started calling because I just wanted to make sure people were aware. And oh, and I put flyers up around town. They
Now,
were,
what's your limit, your max limit of kids you can have?
it depends on how many teachers I get.
Oh, okay.
So like I said, this year, you know, I've got 14, but of those, several are EAs that have to be in an EA position. And then I've got a PE coach, which thank goodness we have him because it is so nice for those kids to be able to go in and it's structured. It's not like, let's go out to the playground and just play. It's they go in and they play a fun game that he has planned for them. They do a STEM activity that he has planned for them, whatever it is for that day. And he tries to do both STEM and PE. So, but it really is just limited to the number of teachers we can get.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other
For your hard
questions?
work.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for listening.
All right, just two good examples of, you know, activities that we provide for our kids, you know, and to keep their brains fresh and developing their skills. The last thing I want to just bring to your attention is the beginning of year activities. And we kind of officially kick off on Monday because we've got all of our principals and some of our central office people that will be starting on Monday. And so this is the time of year where we do a lot of the planning, really look at our strategic plan and just start getting ready for the school year. We do start on the 28th, I believe. Is that right? No, the 29th. Well, actually the 28th. The 28th, we start with new staff orientation. And so we'll be having that. And then everybody will report, all instructional staff will report on the 29th. And so for the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st, and August 1st also. So we have 4 days of professional development before the kids come the following week on August 4th. And so we've got a lot of activities planned. We've got two keynote speakers, one on Tuesday and one on Wednesday. Both focus on culture and what does that mean in the classroom. One is Mariana Uliberry, and I believe she was recommended for her work with bilingual and also special education. Is that correct, Miss Taryn? And so we're going to have half-day session so that people can attend either the morning or the afternoon. On Wednesday, we've got Dr. Shiraki Hawley. And I think I mentioned back in April that we actually hosted Dr. Hawley in April. And he made such an impact on our staff that they came to me and said, can we get him at the start of the school year so we can get everybody to attend? And so luckily his schedule was open. And so we went ahead and booked him. So he'll be with us all day on Wednesday. Thursday is just a combination of just different trainings, mostly dealing with textbook adoption. And so different people will be at different places. And then on Friday will be just at the school sites. And so I believe we do have a breakfast on Tuesday morning that the board is welcome to come have breakfast with us. It'll start at 7:30
What day?
and that's Tuesday, the 29th. So it's coming up fast, it's coming quick, and we're gearing up.
Mhm.
All right. And that's all I have.
Item number 3, limited public comment also. No public comment. Item number 4, unfinished business. A is consider approval and adoption policy advisories 261, 262 graduation requirements.
This has to do with the graduation requirement. We've talked about this in the last 2 months. We do have, I know, Mr. Marcus, you had some questions about some of the wording and And we did, and there is a provision in there that the board has to approve 2 electives.
Mhm.
And we've approved the one, the capstone project. But I don't know that, I think we held off on the recommendation for algebra 2. And so we're still kind of waiting on that. I do want to inform the board that Miss Holguin does have a graphic organizer, I believe, that talks about the different cohorts and the graduation requirements. So I know that's one of the concerns that you had, Mr. Marcus. And so she's already done that work for us. And so that students will know, and so a lot of these, I just want to point out that a lot of these kick into for the incoming freshman class.
So that'd be the 2029.
I believe
Yeah.
so, yes.
Sorry, it's so small.
So then algebra would be an elective? Not an elective, but it's an option to take.
No, it's
It-
required.
It'll be required under the math credits. So at the bottom,
One class,
one credit, yeah.
one credit.
So at the very bottom, it says math must include algebra 1, geometry, and algebra 2.
Okay, yeah.
So, Ms. Seguin,
Yes.
when we chose the capstone,
Yes,
I noticed that they have an option. They can
Mhm.
pick any of those instead of just the capstone. Is that?
That's
what I'm
correct.
reading that? So,
because
but it-
when you look at the stars codes, you know how they list if it's a elementary or a core, it has a actual column for capstone. And what's included in there is any kind of work experience class, any dual credit class,
Okay.
any work-based learning, or what we're going to offer is a community capstone
Okay.
as well.
So for example, if I chose work experience, what would
Mhm.
that look like? I would
Work-
still have to do a.
You would still have to
Except
do
present my
a
capstone.
portfolio, yeah,
a portfolio.
and a presentation. Yes, that's
And
part of
what
it.
subjects with that capstone entail if it's the work experience?
It's based on their work, whatever they're doing with their work, and then it needs to include some math, some language
But
arts.
That's what I
some-
want specifically. It should include.
All
English
the
language arts,
subjects.
Math, science, and CTE.
Mhm.
I want to, that's why I've seen other districts, they specifically put that their capstone must include that.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. And it's part of the rubric as well.
Okay,
They'll be graded on all of those, on all their subjects.
so what would the wording be then when we put that in our board policy?
Capstone must include, I think the wording that you had last time, Mr. Marcus, would work. Because if I remember right, it's that it should include all of their core subjects
Learning across all core subjects, English language arts or
Mhm.
Spanish language arts,
or Spanish language arts, yes.
mathematics, social studies, history, science, and career technical education.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm not sure how we go about putting that in board policy. I know we've adopted a couple of policies or had changes to our policy. And you go look at our board policy and it's still the same. So I don't know how that works. I don't know how because if we adopt whatever's here, I don't know how it gets changed.
So if you're wanting to add to this,
Mhm.
then we just add to it and then we submit it to the policy service. And then
Who
they'll
does that?
vet it.
Who adds it?
Elsa usually is the one that will submit it over to the
Oh.
policy service. Yeah. So we'll just take whatever it is that you want included, then they'll vet it and then they'll let us know if it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, my big concern was just to make sure that we continue to,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and that was Brandy's recommendation from her building was that the second elective is actually algebra 2,
Yes.
so that it'll continue. And I believe last month she had mentioned that it's actually good because it aligns with the assessment, with the summative assessment.
Can I also call your attention to the total credits? Because the state of New Mexico only requires 24. This past year and class of 24 and previous years, it was 29. We are asking if we can adjust those because we did decrease the amount of credits a student can earn a year. Last year, we brought it down from 8 to 7. So if you look at class of 2026 at the very bottom, it's possible for them to earn 30 credits. So we are asking if we could bring it down to 28. And then class of 2027, it's possible for them to earn 29. So we are asking to bring it to 27. And then class of 2028 and on, it'll be 28 credits. So we're asking to keep it there at 27. My goal is to keep kids in school as much as possible, for our seniors especially. It gets really crazy with scheduling, and I think to prepare them for life and real world and college and career readiness, to give them an abbreviated schedule is kind of an injustice.
Thank you for giving.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
Do we have to vote on something like that if we wanted to change the credits, Mr. Chavez?
I think we need to get either we vote on it tonight or we have to hold a special session because they need to have it in place before school starts.
August the fourth,
Yeah,
right?
So
And the two that we're choosing is the work experience, work-based learning, community capstone, or dual credit. Is that the extra credit plus the algebra? That's the two that the board is choosing.
Plus the algebra. Yes, correct.
I would be comfortable with that.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Special board
But
meeting.
the other thing that I can just, that I'm gonna bring to your attention is, you can leave the policy the way it is, the way it's submitted, it came straight from the lawyer. So it's in alignment with the law and the statutes and that sort of thing. But then what we could do is the instructional handbook could be very specific, like what the specificity that you're asking about, Mr. Marcus.
I don't feel comfortable with that. because
Okay.
No, I'm just saying if it's not in policy, then, so we're just making up for the next group that comes in or whatever, it's just, I don't feel comfortable, I'd rather have it somewhere where it's
Sure.
in policy.
Okay.
And it's board approved. Then that way it's there.
Okay.
So what would have to happen is you'd have to get us a policy together that we want to see in the upcoming special session. This month, we don't want to wait until
We don't.
but we want to table these items for a special session. Or do we want to move to approve this item?
Which one?
Item eight.
Item eight.
Yeah, item eight. Consider approval of adoption policy with language 261, 260.
I would say we table it and then do the special. That way we get everything in order and
Motion.
I motion table it.
Second.
Seconded.
It has been moved and seconded to table item eight, consider approval of adoption policies advisory. 261, 262 graduation requirements. All those in favor. Please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We will, Elsa, when we go to the items for next meeting, make sure we put that in the special session. We're gonna have to hold a special session. Item B, consider approval and adoption of policy advisories 263 through 264.
263 and 264, this is the second reading. They have to do with graduation regalia. and making sure that there's no discrimination or discipline tied to any of that. And so that's specifically 263 and 264. Recommendation is for approval.
So moved.
Does the board president have to ask for it to be moved, or can we just?
We have a motion to have the item B, consider approval and adoption of policy advisories 263.
So moved.
Seconded,
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving adoption of policy advisories 263 and 264, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries. And then item C, Mr. Chavez did point out that item C, we do have in our packet right now that from legal counsel. The anti-distraction policy, but he pointed out that on item A. And if the policy services has provided an additional for us to review. So I would suggest that we table approval until we can read.
Yep.
Until we can read, until the second reading for item A, so that we decide which of the two policies we'd like to go with.
so that would
There's-
be alternative 2, right?
That's
Alternative
actually
1 and
three.
alternative
There's three.
There's three
Okay,
of them.
so the first one on unfinished business, C,
Mhm.
is the policy that our legal counsel drafted for us, just so that we could be compliant,
Okay.
given the law that was passed at the last legislative session. But the policy, and we were hoping that the policy service would catch up at some point. Well, they have. And so policy advisory 267 gives boards two different options to choose from. So the way I see it is you've got those two from the policy service or the one that was drafted by our
Okay.
legal counsel.
And just
So-
for, in my opinion, I read both of them, and I would lean more towards alternative 2. Where it specifically states. The board prohibits the use. Of devices during instructional hours and class time, very specific.
My only concerns with prohibiting completely is when a teacher wants to use a device for instructional purposes in the classroom.
But they do make
That's-
exceptions.
they do
for
make
alternative two.
exceptions.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Mr. Gonzalez, an alternative 2 that the wording is in there that they're allowed to do that, and then towards kids.
And also for kids,
504s,
right.
IEPs, things like that, medical, yeah.
And all three of them do. All three of them have that provision within them.
Mhm. Yeah. So it says classroom or instructional related activities under the supervision of classroom teacher, Mr. Gonzalez, on second page on 16 of 22. It's
So do we have a motion to consider one of them, or do we have a motion to table so that all three can be reviewed for?
it's getting kind of late. I'm just thinking when the school's about to start, and we need to get that information to the parent. And that's the only thing that so parents and students have enough time to.
Which one are we looking at, Ola?
Am I missing it? I hear,
That's
right here,
260.
model board anti-distraction policy on C. But I only have one page.
That's just one page.
That's the one.
That's the one.
That's
right.
from the,
Right.
Did you find 260?
And then 267, policy advisory 267 has the other two versions.
I said, I know I'm blind, so.
I'm-
Oh, 267.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm done.
Is it possible to even approve one of the other two policies because it's the first reading?
No, we have to have, this
Oh,
would
it's
be the
still
first reading.
Even though, okay, even
Can't
though we
approve the
discussed
second.
it. Okay.
So if you guys don't want the item C, if you don't wanna approve that policy, then we don't approve it, but we
Okay.
cannot approve.
Because it's the first reading,
Because
even
it's the
though
first
it's.
reading.
Okay.
Correct.
So does that make sense?
Yeah.
The only one we can approve right now is the one from our legal counsel,
Then
because
because
it's second review.
That's true.
when we
Good
go to
point.
graduate, we do the graduation special session, we can put that on the agenda.
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
Be the second
Yep.
reading.
Okay. So do I have a motion to, table C, item C? Adoption of model anti-distraction policy, second read. We'd have to table that one if we wanna continue to look at that as an option. And then we'd have to add the other two as a second reading on the next agenda, so that we can look at all three of them as options. Does that make sense?
Think so. But why are they both different readings then? If they're not combined, I mean, we're not combining to begin with, they're two different.
It depends on if you guys want the option of continuing to look at the first one that's a second reading. So we have three options right now. We can only vote on one option, on
Okay.
option one. Option two, we have to have, option two and three have to have a second reading. So if you wanna continue to see option one during special session, we have to vote to table it for the second special session. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so we have the table. If we table the C as well, then we could. Then that will be enough time to be for the second reading then.
Yes.
So what's the motion?
You have to move to table item C, the approval of the adoption policy model after discrimination policy, which was the second.
So move.
Seconded.
There's been moved and seconded to table item C, the approval of the adoption policy model anti-distraction policy second reading. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And then new business, moving on to new bit, oh, I'm sorry, all right?
Yeah, you're correct.
Sorry, that took a while. Moving on to new business, item A, that is where we have the first reading for the two new policies that were just given to us.
Advisories, 265 through 269 actually deal with different things. The first one, 265, deals with cardiac emergency response plan that we would need to have in place. And so, we probably would be working closely with Mr. Zamora and Mr. Dutman to develop that plan. 266 is, it's just added language related to the science of reading. So you heard Jennifer talk about science of reading, and that's the big push within the state as they move forward. 267 is the cell phone and electronic devices in schools. That's where you'll find the two alternatives. 268 is the cardiac emergency response plan, which again just deals with having a plan and guidelines that we've got to follow in the development of it. And 269 is parent guidance for water safety. It's part of a new statute that came out where the school districts now are required to provide information on water safety. And so we'll have to make sure that we're in compliance with that. Recommendation for all of these is first reading is for approval.
Any discussion? Regards to the first reading on the. Okay. Moving on to item B, consider approval of the SRO contract for the school year 2025-2026.
Okay, every year we have to have a new contract with a new agreement, MOU with the Village of Hatch, who provide us a school resource officer. You have one in the packet, but I believe you've got one on the side here that I believe is more current. It's signed by the mayor and also the chief. And so it's there's nothing different as far as the contract itself or the MOU. It's the same one that we've had for years. Recommendation is for approval.
Is there any discussion?
Who's our SRO?
I talked to the chief and she informed me that she did hire a new SRO. I believe his last name is Reese. And he's coming to us from, I believe, I don't know if it was Santa Teresa or Cañutillo area. Somebody that she's worked with previously and he has experience as an SRO. And so we're really excited. He's bilingual and, you know, it's, she feels highly confident that he'll be a good fit for us.
We have a motion for consideration.
So moved.
Second.
Then move the second to consider approval of the SRO contract for the school year 25-26. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Here's. Item C, consider approval of the MOA. The MOA is supposed to be.
Memorandum of agreement. Yeah.
Of the MOA between HVPS and BAHC.
And this again is a yearly contract or memorandum of agreement that we have with Ben Archer. And it's to provide health services at the school-based health center. And so it's the same that we've had in previous years and the recommendation is for approval.
Any discussion?
will not be voting.
Do I have a motion to consider approval of the MOA between HVPS and BAHC?
So moved.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. To consider approval of the MOA between HVPS and BAHC. Just please note that. Remember that I will not be voting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item D, consider approval of the psychology services RFP for school year 25-26.
And we've got several RFPs that all deal with Ms. Vogel's department. And so she's here to, it's like hot off the press. They just approved them this morning. And so she's here to talk about each one of these.
Good evening, board. So we did have to go out to request for proposals for both, for our psychologists and our occupational therapist and our physical therapist. So the first one you had was the psychologist. We had 4 submissions on. One was our incumbent. We did this 2 years ago. Her 2 years had expired, so we did go back out. She has been doing 5 days of service. She is going back to school, so her proposal came in at 3 days a week to do just the direct services with our special ed students who receive psychological services. So we did need to also consider somebody else of the 4 submissions that would be able to provide psychological evaluations and autism evaluations. So we did select 2 candidates, our incumbent Mariana Diaz to do the services and a lady who is bilingual out of Las Cruces. She's a school psychologist as well. And she's going to be able to do psychological and autism evaluations. So we did select Mariana Diaz and then Dr. Martinez Roll out of Las Cruces. The 2 other submissions were the same companies that put in for occupational therapy and physical therapy. The benefit that we had with Dr. Martinez Roll to do the evaluations piece is that she is bilingual, and the other 2 companies didn't specify if they were bilingual or not. And they are headhunter agencies, so they accept our contract and then they go out and find people. So we wouldn't have anybody right off the bat. And with mental health, the way it is these days, we felt like it was important to go ahead and take somebody that we knew would be bilingual and would be here and local. Because possibility of having in person for OT and PT could potentially be virtual. So this would bring somebody in that would be able to come in and do the evaluations. So that's why we chose those 2 candidates for psychological.
Do I have a motion for approval of to consider approval of psychology services RFP for school year 25-26?
So moved.
Seconded.
Has been moved and seconded. Consider approval of psychology services. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Item E, consider approval of physical therapy services RFP for school year 25-26.
Again, we have Ms. Vogel to talk to us about the candidates and the selection.
So again, we went out to request for proposal for physical therapy. We did have it posted with CES as well as on the RFP. because it is not a full-time position, we don't have enough of a caseload for that to be full-time. So we did go out to RFP. We had 2 submissions for physical therapy. One was, they're both companies. One was called Stepping Stones Group, and the other one was called Gifted Healthcare. We did look through and selected Gifted Healthcare. Of the 2 submissions, they were able to provide some sample resumes of staff that they could assign here that lived in either Las Cruces or TRC or Deming. So that it may not be those people that they send to us, but at least there were somebody that was local and potential for that to happen. So we did go with Gifted Healthcare on that one. So.
Recommendation is for approval for gifted.
There any discussion? Do I have a motion to consider approval?
So moved.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded to consider approval of the physical therapy services RFP for school year 25-26. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item F, consider approval of the occupational therapy services RFP for the school year 25-26.
All right, so occupational therapy, same kind of story here. We had 2 submissions, both from the same 2 groups, the Stepping Stones group and the Gifted Healthcare. Again, they were able to provide a couple of resumes of people that were semi-local. So that gave us the hope that we could potentially have somebody in person. Just for a lot of our students, it's hard to provide those services if they're virtual, especially some of our more severe handicapped students that would need, especially the physical therapy, but also occupational therapy. It really needs to be hands-on, not virtual. So we did choose the Gifted Healthcare company to be able to be the potential to provide that in-person therapy services.
My recommendation is for approval for the gifted healthcare.
Yeah, it's kind of a misnomer. Gifted Healthcare is their name, but they work with other districts across the state. So that gave us good feedback.
And it appears that Secretary Montes has just logged in. Or did I miss it earlier? He just logged in?
I just saw him right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just logged in.
So I will entertain a motion to consider approval of the occupational therapy services RFP for school year 25-26.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And if I can just add briefly that because these are requests for proposals and that especially OT and PT, because they are not people that we know of right now, the RFP did go out for 3 years, but we do have that option that if things aren't working out at any time, we can give them 30 days notice and then during the school year and then by May 15th for next school year if we choose not to keep them. So both of those 2, all 3 actually, but really more concerned about the 2 Gifted Healthcare ones. So thank you.
Item G, consider approval of the resolution of disposition of property.
So we have, we had one of our cartridges, that was located over in the yard, by maintenance and the bus yard and, we had been renting that and, we've, tried to turn that into a place for, our bus drivers to have access to, a little meeting place, and or the maintenance people, but that didn't work out because when we went to see what that would cost us to get it remodeled. The cost came back, correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Stevens, I was gonna call you Miss Offit. It came back at about $80,000.
Wow.
And it just cost, exactly, that was our point. And so we said it's just not cost effective. And so what we'd like to do is go ahead and dispose of it and send it to auction. Is that right? Okay.
What are you gonna do about space though,
Um,
for maintenance?
So we're still moving forward. Well, maintenance isn't the issue as much as it is our bus drivers
Okay.
and having access,
Right.
to bathrooms and that sort of thing. We still are moving forward with moving the one portable we have over at Hatch Elementary that hasn't been used in years over to that area and getting the bathrooms and getting it up to par And it came in, we may have to do it in stages because we just learned today that it's probably going to cost us about $150,000. So we may have to do that in stages and just get to do yeah. So it is costly and that sort of thing, but if we can get it over there and get the bathrooms going, I mean, that's the priority, right? And so that our bus drivers have access to more facilities to be able to access. And then we'll look at one of the recommendations that Ms. Stevenson made was to get an itemized quote to see what each area is going to cost us so that we can make some informed decisions on how we can move forward.
Mhm.
So that's still the plan.
Any further
If
discussion?
not, we do have, Lord willing, we have homecoming in August. We need something for a bonfire.
I mean, it's early this year.
And we'll entertain a motion to the approval of the resolution of this property.
So moved.
Seconded.
It has been moved and seconded to consider approval of the resolution of the disposition property. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carried. Item number 6, items for future meetings. So we do have to have the policy services item on there, but in addition to that, if you could include the model anti-discrimination distraction policy from our legal counsel into that as well, so that will be one of the options. And then the only other thing that I would personally like to add is, I did give you this, it's not for discussion or anything, this is just for your information, and it was the hiring of our new superintendent and the process. I'd like to put that on the special board meeting, item for future meeting. Just to have a discussion about which direction we want to go with regards to, our continuum, the selection processing, how the board is going to approach them. On page 2 of your packet, there's different options that we can follow, and we just kind of want to have an idea how we want to approach it. And any other items?
Yes, for future meeting, I guess the special is fine. Working and with law enforcement. And complying with, whatever we need to comply with their investigations and stuff.
Are we not complying? Joaquin?
We could talk about it in executive.
Well, you brought it up in public.
Yes, but it has to do with sensitive issues, and I just want to make sure that all staff is aware that how we need to comply and work with law enforcement.
Also kind of like a presentation, somebody would come and do a presentation for the board.
If we
About-
can, or something like that.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
And then, anything else? Item number 7, executive session. The board will go into executive session in accordance with section 10-15-2 NMSA 1978 of the Open Meetings Act to discuss limited personnel matters related to possible litigation. No action will be taken until the board returns to open session. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I will do a roll call vote to go into executive session. Vice President Legarreta,
Yes.
Member Garay,
Yes.
Member Marcus,
Aye.
Secretary Marcos,
Aye.
and myself, aye. We are now in executive session.
Thank
Aye.
you.
At least, okay, good.
Yeah, me stuff, everything.
So if we wanna have a, if we wanna look at, I guess, choose, we can't vote on. It. The items, it's a first reading, so. So there's some, like, the items, so in order to vote, have the option, then all read. We have all special meetings, so the first one on that, and then we second, second reasons.
Hopefully somebody made dinner. All I got to say.
So at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to return from executive session.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to return from executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. In executive session, we discussed, in accordance with section 1015(2) NMSA 1978 of the Open Meetings Act. We discussed limited personnel matters related to possible litigation, and no action will be taken at this time with regards to executive session. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, August 13, 2025 at 6 p.m. But we do need to hold a special board meeting before then to make sure we approve the graduation requirements and the other items that we listed on there. So does anyone have a preference as to when you would like to hold that special board meeting?
I don't have the calendar up.
I would suggest Wednesday, the 23rd at 6 p.m. That would be my suggestion. Would that work?
It's fine with me.
That'll work.
Do we have a motion to hold this?
This that day, but
You have practice?
that's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay. Do I have a motion to hold a special board meeting Wednesday, the 23rd at 6 p.m.?
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to hold a special board meeting Wednesday, the 23rd at 6 p.m. here at the Student Services and Training Center. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. And then item 8, the next regular board meeting after the special session will be August 13, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the Student Services Building. Item number 9, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Move is second to adjourn. Do I have a vote here, please? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Board meeting that they're having.
Which one, the 19th or 26th?
They keep changing. It's the 26th, right?
the 26th.
I don't know if I can make this one. It's rough right now.
Only.
That's okay.
But we could all zoom it too.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, you can zoom it.